Hi fellow chatterers, welcome to part 2 of the London Booktuber Meetup.
We headed off to the second bookshop on our stop. Walking there, we found a Gareth on the way. He hadn't made it to the original meetup point, but it was lovely to see him and pick him up on the way. It was really nice to see everyone so delighted to see him, and I think it was a bit sad to have missed out on the first shop, but obviously just embraced it and came along. And the next bookshop was a really good one, the Brick Lane bookshop. It was just again, just exciting to see the display in the window of all the different coloured bags and just the range of different books they had in there. And it was really lovely to see Robyn again. I really loved talking to her last time that we all met up, and I've sort of been, not as much as I wanted to, but been chatting on her channel and kind of keeping up with what she's reading. So it was so lovely to see her again. She's absolutely just as lovely as she was last time. They had a whole shelf on sort of feminism and LGBTQ plus and gender non-fiction books, so that was very exciting, and that's where I made a beeline for, because those are all subjects that interested me, and I spent a lovely time sort of picking books off the shelf, having a look at them. I really got excited that I saw the T in LGBT by Jamie on there. Obviously I already had that one. So I was looking at all of those and was like, oh, that sounds good and that sounds good. But then there's a book I realised I wasn't putting back on the shelf. So again, I have a little paper bag and it says the Brick Lane Bookshop. And in here, I got quite a chunky non-fiction book called They, He, She. I think it is because it's all done in a beautiful acrostic. Oh, he, she, they is how it's done here. I'm calling it they. Maybe I should even call it they, she, he. It says How We Talk About Gender and Why It Matters by Shoila Baylor. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. The spine is amazing. It's all in trans colours. And I love how we have they going vertically down and he coming off the H and she coming off the E. So it's like a little acrostic thing. Is acrostic the right word? It's not the right word. Not an acrostic. Crossword. There we go. Acrostic's a poem that you seem to do in schools. Anyway, this is one I can edit. The waffle's still going to be in there because I can't break it up. This was a book I was very excited about. So I started, it's nice and floppy because we love it. And I started looking at all the contents. So it's called Gender and Me, Gender and Others, Gender and Society. And just looking at things like, what does gender mean? All those different kind of things. And just the way, the authorial voice as I was reading it. And how the author has done a lot of research to try and make this as concise a book as possible. And just reading the introduction, I just wanted to keep reading it. So I'm like, that's the feeling I'm getting. Clearly, I kind of am going home with this book, aren't I? Because I didn't want to put it back on the shelf. I realised it just wasn't going back on the shelf. I'm like, well, I'm buying this. I'm buying this book. And as I then wandered around to shop, Oliver said, good choice, and I think recommendation from Oliver means it's going to be good. So Oliver said they also that he has also met Shoila Baylor because he came into I think it's the book publishing place where Oliver works. So that's very exciting. And Oliver has started reading this and has been enjoying it. So that is a really good recommendation. So I'm very excited about this. Obviously it was very lovely to see Oliver again. I really enjoyed chatting to him the last time we met up. I have again dipped into his channel, not as much as I would like, but it's just so lovely to see people in the flesh and just be talking with booky people. It's just a pure delight. I also got a Brick Lane bookmark, which is really cute. I really like the little drawing of the bookshop in the, I don't know if you can see it that well, there we go, in the ink. I was quite tempted by a postcard they had of the bookshop and then the bags in different colours, but just so it was black and white and then you had the bags in colours, and I thought that was really cool. But then I saw this rubber or eraser and it's a book and it says Brick Lane Bookshop. So I was like, that's really cool, I need that. So I chose that instead of the card. So I have those, which is very exciting. And then we went on to the third bookshop.
Another thing that was really lovely about the day is that when you're walking along to the different bookshops, is it gives you the opportunity to just be talking to lots of different people. Like everyone's kind of moving places, chatting to different individuals.
And Matt joined us for the first time, so it was really lovely to meet him in the flesh. I've been watching his channel for quite a bit, and we got to have a really nice chat when we were walking to one of the bookshops about the Good Omens TV show, because we sort of buddy read Good Omens together. It was the intention, but he read it and then I read it later, along with a few other people. But I've been saying in the chat, I've been talking to him and talking to Tiffany from Towering TBR, that I really need to watch the next season of Good Omens, and I finally did. I rewatched season 1 and then I watched season 2, so I got to chat to him about it, and we had a good old Good Omens gush, which was great. I think the third bookshop was probably my favourite bookshop. So it was the Common Press bookshop, and you walk in and there is a counter that's also a cafe. There's people at tables having drinks, there's books around the sides, there's book displays in the middle, and there's sort of more like little cubby places to go and explore. One had like a sort of like a science fiction fantasy kind of shelf area, so that obviously always makes me happy, and I was looking through those. With it being a queer bookshop, it had a lot of queer representation in there, which is wonderful. And then you also go through, you turn around and you go into this other bit. And it had this really lovely children's section, so we had picture books, we had shelves with YA, we had shelves with sort of like middle grade and sort of younger readers. And what Jack pointed out was that they had curated it all, so you'd got books that it was all themed. It was like, these are books around environmental issues, these are books about friendship, these are books about, like, you know, not fitting in, or books about family. And that was so lovely to see, and I could have just spent the whole afternoon in that section. So it was really lovely, and I was feeling quite tired by this point because I had injured my back and my back was aching, and there was a nice little chair there, so I sat down in the chair, and Tilly was sat down in the chair, and Olivia and Jack were standing up and kind of looking at different books and bits and pieces. Sorry, is this rude?
It's fine, don't worry, I'm going to put music over it. I thought maybe I'll block it off.
Have you going,
Yes! I'll make that bit really loud as well. Just love a bookshop that has like a little nook for the kids section.
It just felt so lovely just to kind of sit there and just bask in everyone's enjoyment of the books and just be chatting about different middle grade we enjoyed. It was so nice. I was so excited to see Olivia again. I'm always a huge fan of hers, and it's just so much fun to like talk to her, talk about books, listening to her talking about how her job's going with other things. It was really lovely. And so I did get a few books from here. So the one that I picked up and was like, this is going to be the book I will get, is The Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty. So this fulfills my criteria of getting a book to continue series. I have The City of Brass, and I just need this second one because the third one is under my bed, because I bought it in hardback when it came out, because I thought I'm going to love the series and want a book of it in hardback. So I'm very excited to have finally got my hands on The Kingdom of Copper and hopefully be reading the Daevabad series. That's the plan. I then saw they had their World Book Day books on a display in the corner of the children's section, and I have got one of the World Book Day books on my wish list because it's Onyeka. So we have Onyeka and the Secret Superhero, which is just a very small, tiny book that's been produced for World Book Day. So you can swap this. This is £1, but it's still just a little book. It's even still got the Onyeka sun things at the head of each chapter. So I'm very excited. I'm presuming this comes between books 2 and 3. I'm not entirely sure, but book 3 is coming out very, 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 very soon, which is Onyeka and the Heroes of Dawn. So you can see all of the Onyeka books on the back of this. I'm excited. I love Onyeka. So I really wanted to get hold of this because they don't reproduce these. They just produce a certain amount for each World Book Day year, and then that's it. So there's certain series where I'm like, I really like that series. I want to get the teeny tiny extra book. So very thrilled to have got this one. And then my final book, again, it was unplanned. It was completely unplanned. So I'm going to show it to you in just a moment because it's delightful. But I need to show you the Common Press bookmark. Here we go. And here we go. It says, if you go home with someone and they don't have books, don't fuck them. By John Waters. And I found that quite entertaining. I showed it to my husband when we met each other at the end of the day. I was like, look. He's like, I have books. That just amused me. So the final book. This is the final book I bought. This is the third bookshop, and I just outdid myself in the first 3 bookshops and then kind of had reined it in by the time we went to other ones. So, but this book I hadn't intended to buy, and it absolutely fits the category of book I hadn't heard of before and I just needed to take home with me. So it is this.
The Woodcutter and the Snow Prince by Ian Eagleton and illustrated by David Ortu. There's a navy background with the title at the top in silver foiling, and we have the Snow Prince in icy blue flying under the title towards his ice palace. And in warmer tones there is a woodcutter at the bottom, and a pink swirl gives a border with ice animals with snowflakes and winter flowers interspersed around it.
But what really sold me the book was the maps.
The end pages had a gorgeous map with a mix of blues and purples in lights and darks with some warm brown and pink tones. There is the village of Grief, where I decided Olivia would live as she loves grief and stories, and the cottage of Loneliness, and you travel through all the way to the Palace of Fear.
And I was like, oh, is there a map on the back? And yes, there is. So not to spoil, but the map on the back looks very warm and cosy and much nicer.
Now we have a village of Acceptance and the cottage of Happiness, which is where I would live, and a much pleasanter journey to what I would say is now Olivia's new home, the Palace of Possibilities.
I had a lovely chat with the one of the workers in the bookshop. I don't know if they were the owner or not, but they were very excited to see me picking up this book and saying, that's beautiful, that's amazing. Have you seen the other ones?
Nen and the Lonely Fisherman, which Jack has a short of and I now want.
So I had a little bit of a disaster moment after we came out of the Common Press and we started walking off to the next thing.
To be continued. What was the disaster? Click for the next one.